Welcome to our last segment of our series in real estate transition. The first videos had to do with being a first-time homebuyer, upsizing, and downsizing. I provide information about the process and tips that can help you have a smoother journey. I am Jeanette McIntosh of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Realty, and today I'm going to talk about selling a loved one's house because they are unable to do so. It's not that the selling of the house is different from selling any other house, but what does one do with all the belongings? How does one get the house ready for sale? Does one have the right to be allocating the other person's personal goods? That is what makes this transition so very stressful. Once the house is on the market, it's the same as being a first-time home buyer, upsizing, or downsizing. It's the part before that we're going to describe in this segment. I sold my mother's properties after my father passed away, and it was evident that she could no longer live by herself. I was lucky in that my parents had mostly taken care of the future. I had the power of attorney, there was a trust, I was the trustee. My mother had made it clear years before that she did not want to make any decisions if my dad was no longer around, and that I was to do so. They had distributed already a lot of their things, but for most of the furniture and the decorations in the house, I had no idea what they would have liked to happen to them. The things I learned during that transition has helped me guide others on what to do in such a situation. So you find, as happens too often, that your loved ones can no longer safely live by themselves and they don't have the cognitive ability to take care of themselves any longer. You think you can take care of them maybe because you're their child, or you've been best friends for years maybe, and you think you're the only one they have. Each state may be different, but in the state of Florida where I live, the first step is to get a doctor to confirm whether or not that person is able to sign a power of attorney. If not, one can apply for a guardianship. It is a complicated process, and it is recommended one gets an attorney to handle it. After you have gotten the power of attorney or guardianship or whatever is legally required in your state, if it hasn't been done already, try to gather all the important papers. You may want to include, along with other items, government-issued identification cards, marriage certificates, naturalization papers if applicable. Try to find all the papers pertaining to the initial purchase of the house, when the appliances were purchased. Do they have extended warranties? The age of the HVAC system. Who does the pest spraying? If there are solar panels, keep any paperwork you find on them. It is helpful to know if they are leased or purchased. Though there are different ways one can do this, I believe a good option is to dispose of all the items in the house first, get the house ready to list, and then put it on the market. Depending on the finances of the loved one and how much will be needed for their care and how much time is available for the move, options may vary on how one will want to handle the items in the house. First step, of course, is to find out what furniture, clothing, etc. will be kept for the loved one. Since they will more than likely be moving into a room at somebody's house or maybe an assisted living facility, which offers rooms at around 500 square feet or smaller sometimes, what can be set aside for them will be minimal. Do set them aside, however, also some of the photo albums, pictures, and memorable keepsakes that they have held onto. If any of the furniture had been promised to any family members, find out if they would still like to have it and when can they come get it. Reach out to other family members and ask if anybody wants any of the remaining items. Do state how you want the reply and how you will decide who will get it if multiple people ask for the same item. For myself, I told them to please email me within the next couple of days, and that if multiple people asked for the same item, it would be the person who could come get it the fastest. Thankfully, nobody in our family asked for the same item, so I didn't have to worry about that. By the way, I also told them that if I had to ship anything, they would have to pay the cost of the shipping. It's best to state the rules at the very start so there's no misunderstanding. After that is done, one can check to see if an estate sale would be feasible. One must have a certain amount of saleable items for an estate sale. If possible, call more than one person in your area and see what they would recommend. In our case, we found that the estate agent wanted at least 3 rooms full of furniture and items. By that time, we had given many of the bigger items to the local churches after family had selected what they wanted. So we no longer had enough to do an estate sale. So if it is important to you to do an estate sale, do get their input before you make any other serious decisions. If the house is in an HOA, be aware of their rules. Some HOAs do not allow estate sales. Or maybe, like in my situation, there's not enough items for an estate sale. Then you can reach out to an auction house that does online auctions. Some will do small lots if they have nearby houses also doing an auction. Those auctions are then conducted during the same time period, and they are successful that way. HOAs will often allow online auctions when they don't allow estate sales, because with online auctions, there is control over who is entering the community and when. After the online auction is completed, the winning parties are notified, and a list of the winning parties is provided to the seller or the power of attorney, who then gives it to the front gate. Usually people must pick up the items during a specific time frame. Auction places may have their own protocol, but the ones I have dealt with first wanted to come to the house to see what all is being sold. They decide if it will work with the other auctions they have coming up. They may come to the house to do all the cataloging, or they may decide to do it, bring all the items to their warehouse space and catalog it there. Cataloging can take a couple of days, and then on a scheduled date, all the items show up online as lots. Very big items can have their very own lot. Smaller items would share lots, and very small items are all put in a box, and the box becomes a lot. If using an auction house, find out what the minimum price they put on the lots, how long does the auction last, and can you check the status of the auction while it is going on. You also want to know if there can be reserves, which means if you don't get a certain amount of money for your item, then it won't be sold. An auction is a good option if you need to get rid of everything in the house in a timely manner, and you accept the fact that you may not get the value of the item. If the items are things that are hard to get rid of, like heavy furnishings, selling them through an auction may be a good option though, because you can reach a whole lot of people quickly in a short time, and since many of them are resellers, they have the means to move these heavy items. Yes, you may not get the value for them, but neither did you have to move it and wonder what you were going to do with those pieces of furniture or decorations if they didn't get sold. If time is not of the essence and you would like to get good value for your items, then you may want to do a private sale. You can use Facebook Marketplace, for example. You can take pictures of every item and send them to your family and friends and ask them to pass it on to everyone they know. You can contact consignment stores in the area and find out what their protocol is for selling items through them. If you're still left with items after you have tried the above, reach out to the estate people and, regardless if you have used them or not, ask them who they use for the clean out. I was once recommended this lady who came and took away everything that was left in the house. A big portion of it she gave away to charity. She kept some items she thought she could sell at her secondhand store. She put some items that she thought I really should keep in a box for me, and the rest she put in bags and put it out for garbage pickup. It was a wonderful service, and I paid nothing. If you don't have someone like that in your area, see if one of the local charities know of somebody who will do that for you. You can also reach out to a junk removal company. They do charge, and be aware that they may destroy the furniture in the house before they haul it away. That happened to someone I knew who didn't realize that is what was going to happen. She was extremely distraught seeing the furniture that held so many memories for her being disposed in that manner. She knew it was necessary, but it was still unnerving. Once the house is empty, decide what else needs to be done. Does the exterior need pressure washing? Do the walls inside need painting? What about the trim and the baseboard? Should the appliances be updated? Do have someone clean the entire house. After that, it's a matter of finding a good realtor to get the house sold. Talk to them on whether light staging may help the house sell faster, since now it will be empty. Sometimes having a few things strategically placed in the living room and the primary bedroom will help buyers picture their own items in those rooms. After that, it's just like selling another house. With a realtor handling the sale of the house, you know you have done the best you can. So that ends my series on real estate transitions. I hope you have enjoyed it and learned some things you didn't know. Thank you for listening. Next week, I am continuing my series of the pros and cons of living in various cities in Lake County. I would love for you to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Again, this is Jeanette McIntosh of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Florida Realty, hoping that all your real estate dreams come true.